Okay, in today's class, I am going to explain in JavaScript how to get JavaScript output. Okay, means display JavaScript display possibilities. So, in JavaScript, how many possibilities are there to get the display of output? So, JavaScript can display data in different ways. How many ways are there to display the data in JavaScript? Writing into HTML element. In the initial classes, already I have briefed that. One method mostly used that is called JavaScript. Mostly used JavaScript HTML method that is called dot get element by ID method. Okay, so I told you that dot get, that is called generally called getter method. You keep in your mind. So dot get element by ID, that method will be used to find the HTML content, element. Okay, so and dot inner HTML is a property used to know the HTML contents. So this is the first way to display the data. Okay, writing into an HTML element using inner HTML, that is the first way to display data by JavaScript. Writing into the HTML output using document.write. Okay, we will discuss each and everything. Already this first one, writing into HTML element, already we have done. Okay, writing into the HTML output using document.write. Writing into an alert box using window.alert. Okay, writing into the browser console using console.log. We will discuss one by one later. Okay, first now this using inner HTML, that is a property to access an HTML element. How many elements we have studied HTML? So many elements, starting from doc type, then HTML element, then body element, somewhere head element, somewhere paragraph element, somewhere header element. Okay, like there's so many elements we have studied. So to access an HTML element, JavaScript can use this method document.getElement by ID. This is, I told you, that getter method. Okay, this is called, if I turn this, what happens? Whether it will be useful to you. Full screen, can you see? Can you able to see the full screen? So using so this is the way. Okay, this is the best way, I think, by I am using the mobile. So using inner HTML, a property used with getter method dot get by element, get element by ID. So this method will be used to access HTML element. So JavaScript will use this method to access HTML element. So many elements we have studied, but that moment ID attribute must be defined. So ID attribute that must be assigned with some value. Okay, by this ID attribute, this method finds an HTML element. Okay, next ID attribute, as I told, ID attribute defines the HTML element. The inner HTML property defines the HTML content. This is very important. So let us do the practice. This is the practice. Come to the practice. Okay, this is the code. See here, try to understand everything. We will erase the code and we will write the code, each and everything from zero. Okay, here document type declared HTML5 declaration first. Next HTML that is called HTML element. Okay, body element started with start tag. Next header element, H2 is the header element, P is the paragraph element. So one more is the paragraph element. Inside of that, ID, generally written as demo. Okay, By this ID demo, this is, as I told you, this is the ID is what? ID is an attribute to find the HTML element. Now demo attribute finds this paragraph element. Okay, so inside of script element, document dot get element by ID method used inside of the demo value, the value assigned to ID attribute passed here. By that attribute ID, HTML element will be identified, and dot inner HTML used, it is an attribute to use it to find HTML content. Content is what? 5 plus 6. So 5 plus 6 is what? 5 plus 6, 11. This is the code written here. Okay, nothing to worry about that. We will do everything the practice. We will do the practice here. Okay. Okay. You remove the total code. This is the first way JavaScript can display the data in different ways. So this is the first. So your code window, result window, both are, nothing is here. We will practice here. Now write the code as I told you that first of all we need to declare the HTML document type, exclamation mark, then doc type, all are capital. Okay, understood that this is the HTML declaration, document declaration this is called. Next is what? Small letter HTML, close this. Next start with what? HTML element. HTML element started with HTML element started with HTML start tag, then close this with HTML end tag. So now your one element always must have two tags, start tag, end tag. Then after body element to be started, inside of that body, the body element must be started with body start tag. Body element must be started with start tag. Next must be closed. Body element must be closed with body close tag, end tag. Now inside of this, what we need to use that method, as I have discussed that JavaScript can display the data in different ways. The first way is that by using of getter method, that is called dot get element by ID. So here I am going to explain that. Okay, first of all, inside of the body, take a header element, generally write h1, and then whatever the content you want to display on the screen, that content as a header. Free programming classes, this is the, close this header element by h1 end tag. Now your header element closed with forward slash h1, that is end tag of h1 header element. Next, paragraph element started with start tag. Now inside of this, any content you want to write, it must be closed with end tag. But inside of this, if you want to keep any paragraph element, that can be kept here. Any paragraph element. Free classes, 3 days of a week, thrice of a week, thrice of a week. Okay, now this is the paragraph. Understood that? Now come Now as I told you that getter method we need to use. The getter method is JavaScript method. That JavaScript HTML mostly used HTML method. So that's why that JavaScript we need to write the code in scripts. Script, okay, this is the JavaScript script element. Script element started, script element closed. Script element closed. Script element closed. Come to the point now, okay? Okay, here inside of this script element we need to write that getter method. Document dot get element. This is called getter method. Get element by id. This is the method, okay? Getter method. Inside of this we need to use what? id attribute value. id attribute, I have not defined any id here, okay? But the value generally we assign any value you can assign. Generally demo will be assigned, okay? Now then after we need to use one more attribute property. That is what is this? Extra bracket I have given, so it will give error. Dot inner HTML. Inner, it is an attribute. Inner HTML will be used to find the HTML content. Here getter element by id method used to find HTML element, not content. So dot inner HTML property will be used to find the HTML content of that element. So always the content will be written into inner HTML property, attribute property, okay? Inner HTML now is equal to what? Anything if you write anything, suppose 5 plus 5, that is what? Now the code written inside of your script element, but always get element by id. This method will be used to find HTML element, any header element, any paragraph element, any element, wherever you keep this id attribute. So if you keep this id attribute inside of this id is equal to demo. Demo means double quotation marks. This is the attribute. Okay, now what happened here? Let us see what happened here. So this method will find what? Your header element. Then after header element, run this code. See, you are seeing what? Your 5 plus 5 data is being displayed in the place of header. In place of header, okay? In place of header, you want to see the content of free classes under the as a content of header element. That moment you need to create one more element, okay? Header element h2, okay? And your header element h1 element that will be displayed as it is, and your result 5 plus 5 10 that will be displayed here, okay? Now you write like this, okay? Code h2 element started and end closed. Now keep this attribute, id attribute. Wherever you keep this id attribute, that element will be identified. Okay, now keep this in this header, h2 header. How many header elements we can write? h1 to h6, huh? So you write like this id, okay, demo. Okay, understood that. Now so now what happened, try to understand. Your free classes, which is part of the content of your headers, h1 header, that will be displayed as it is, and wherever you have kept id attribute, because this method will find html element wherever you keep id attribute. So now that element will be identified, h2 element. Now run this code. Now what we are seeing, free classes, that is the content of h1 header section, and thrice of a week, that is the paragraph content. But 5 plus 5 result is not being displayed. Why? Who will clear this doubt? Why? Because you have entered id is equal to demo as a content. Understood that? You have entered id is equal to demo as a content. So if you want to write this not as a content, you need to always keep that id is equal demo inside of the header element start tag, inside of the start tag. Understood? Now run this. How you are getting? Free classes is a header written under h1 element, header element. So thrice of a week, a paragraph element, content of paragraph element. Free classes is a content of h1 element. So in h2 header element, you have kept id is equal demo. So wherever you keep your id attribute, that element will be identified. Okay, and the result will be displayed there. It is very simple, huh? Very simple to understand. That is the topic, today's topic. Because I don't want to take very lengthy classes. I want to take the classes short videos, short, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Topics to be split into small topics. Okay, now let us close this class. We will go to another topic.